Hi there, the name's Nico, and today I'll be explaining what Eternal Return is and everything you need to know to get started. So let's begin. Here are the chapters breaking down this video if you only want to learn more about a particular topic. What is Eternal Return? Eternal Return is a free battle royale game with mobile controls available on Steam and the Microsoft Store. In each game there are a total of 18 players. The purpose of the game is to be the last one standing, which is the goal of all battle royales. First, you must pick a character. There are currently 54 characters to choose from, with new characters being added frequently. Each character in the game has a unique set of spells, and the way you play each character varies. You get 2 characters for free by completing the tutorial, Yuki and Hejin, and then enough A coins to buy at least one other character of your choosing. Before you spend the A coins you received, I would go into practice mode and play all the characters that seem interesting to you to get a feel for their playstyle. Once you've found a character, it's time to head to the loadouts tab. From here, you want to add a plan for that character. The best way to find viable builds is to head over to discord.gg/testsubjects, choose your character, and look at the verified builds there, and they are generally all up to date. Otherwise, you want to head to this.
What?
This is an animated edition, huh?
This is the game, bro. What do you mean?
I don't even remember it being this animated.
Search save plans
Tutorial.
button. This is where you find plans. The plans you will see are the ones with the highest recommended score.
Nice animated game he likes.
Where is he? Is he AFK or what? Not replying.
I don't know, he said he was playing it actually.
He is playing it right
With
now.
you.
Yeah, but I went AFK for a bit. I'm back now.
Recently. These builds are generally built around KR meta, which is why I recommend going to the Discord, but if you can't, click the top 3 builds and import them. If the top 3 builds are the same, feel free to delete one of them, but otherwise your build is ready to go. Next, you want to click on the Augments tab. Here you want to choose the augments you want to run on your character. Now I recommend you go to the Discord I previously mentioned, discord.gg/testsubjects, and choose the augments they have here for your particular character. Otherwise, you want to go to doc.gg, hover over guide, then click characters. Click your character, click your weapon if you need to, scroll down, and then enter the augments you see here. Again, these augments are based on KR meta, and although they might be exactly what everyone is running, I would check the Discord to confirm. Then just enter the augments into your game. Now, augments are level gated, unfortunately, and you can't get all the augments until level 20, so I'll leave an infographic for what augments you should run for each character before level 20 in the description. If you want to learn more about augments, I made a video explaining each augment minus red spray in detail if you want to check that out after this video. Now that you have your plan and augment saved, let's head into a game. The game takes place on Lumia Island. On Lumia Island there are 16 zones or regions, and 15 of them are accessible to the player without punishment. Lumia Island has a day and night cycle. All zones except the Research Center, which is always red, are open to all players until day 2. Starting from night 1, 2 zones will turn yellow, which warns the player that that zone will be closing during the next cycle until eventually all but one zone will be accessible to the player. Inaccessible zones will turn red. If you enter a red zone, you will lose time on your timer. If your timer hits 0, you are dead. You can see how much timer you have at the top of your screen. You start off with 25 seconds on your timer, and for every kill you get 8 additional seconds of your timer until you hit the cap of 40 seconds. Timer is extremely important because of the final zone, but you can use your timer to go through red zones if needed. In the final zone, there are what are known as temporary safe zones. If there are more than 2 players left in the final zone, you'll have to stand in these temporary safe zones until the area outside of these safe zones turn green. You'll have to fight other players until you can get your own temporary safe zone, or until you have enough timer that you can survive until the whole zone turns green again. Temporary safe outside of these safe zones turn green. In the final zone, there are what are known as temporary safe zones through red zones if needed. In the final zone, there are what are known as temporary safe zones. If there are more than 2 players left in the final zone, you'll have to stand in these temporary safe zones until the area outside of these safe zones turn green. You'll have to fight other players until you can get your own temporary safe zone, or until you have enough timer that you can survive until the whole zone turns green again. Then you'll be fighting whoever is left, which should only be one other player in the final safe zone until you win or die. Timer is currently the solution the devs have to people who do not fight and just run away. The most unique aspect of this game, in my opinion, is the crafting system. This is a unique feature of this game, so even if you're good at MOBAs or Battle Royales, you'll have to learn this from scratch. Instead of finding your items around the map, you have to make them with different parts that are located in particular zones. Each zone generally has 16 different items in them, and you can find the same item in multiple zones. To craft an item, all you have to do is grab 2 different items that can turn into something else, and either press the item that it will turn into above your item slots, or press Z on your keyboard, which is the default key for quick crafting. This key will craft the first item on that bar above your item, just multiple zones. Each zone generally has 16 different items in them, and you can find the same item in multiple zones. To craft an item, all you have to do is grab 2 different items that can turn into something else and either press the item that it will turn into above your item slots or press Z on your keyboard, which is the default key for quick crafting. Above the Dixaflas or Battle Royales, you'll have to learn this from scratch. Instead of finding your items around the map, you have to make them with different parts that are located in particular zones. Each zone generally has 16 different items in them, and you can find the same item in multiple zones. To craft an item, all you have to do is grab 2 different items that can turn into something else and either press the item that it will turn into above your item slots or press Z on your keyboard, which is the default key for quick crafting. This key will craft the first item on that bar above your item slots, so use it for items that are marked with a yellow triangle. The yellow triangle represents items you need to finish your build. Keep going from zone to zone, collect the items with the first item on that bar above your item slots, so use it for items that are marked with a yellow triangle. The yellow triangle represents items you need to finish, which is the default key for quick crafting. This key will craft the first item on that bar above your item slots, so use it for items that are marked with a yellow triangle. The yellow triangle represents items you need to finish your build. Keep going from zone to zone, collect the items with the yellow triangle, and crafting them until you finish your build. Now, some builds will need items found in the Harvesting/Hunting tab. These are items you can find in every zone. To know where stones or branches are, you can click on the stone or branch icon in the Harvest/Hunt tab, and the map will open and show you where these items are. You'll probably pass some while finding items you need on your build. If you want to find branches or stones and a lot more useful information shown to you, press F8. This will show a branch or stone icon over the branches or stones while walking around the map. If you need leather, you can kill chickens, wild dogs, bats, wolves, and bears for them. Only fight these animals if you aren't finished your build if you need leather to finish your build. You might ask, how do you know what zones you need to go to in order to finish your build? Well, you can open your map by pressing M or Tab on your keyboard. You will have these zones marked from 1 to however many zones your build is. In this case, there are 4 zones. If your zones are not connected, you can use a teleporter to go to your next zone. These are marked by 2 right arrows on the map. To use the teleporter to go is, in this case there are 4 zones. You'll have these zones marked from 1 to however many zones your build is. In this case there are 4 zones. If your zones are not connected, you can use a teleporter to go to your next zone. These are marked by 2 right arrows on the map. To use the teleporter, all you have to do is click on it, then click on the zone you need to go to. Then you will spawn in that zone. Other than crafting your build, you'll want to craft food and drinks on your build. Food is what you eat in order to regain HP, while drinks are what you drink in order to regain SP. HP is your health bar and SP is your mana bar, or what you need to cast spells. How do you know what food or drinks you can make on your route? You can check the Discord I mentioned, then look at the verified builds I mentioned, and then look at the food they mentioned you can make. Now, I understand you probably won't be able to remember the recipe for all the foods in the game, so food you can always make regardless of zone is hamburgers. Hamburgers are bread plus meat. You start the game with bread, so when you kill a chicken, when you grab leather as an example, you can take the meat off the chicken to make a hamburger. Now, the animals that drop meat are chickens, boars, wolves, and bears. To learn more about food, you can check out my Basics to Food guide, although it is a bit out of date. For SP, you can always make a variety of drinks, but the drink you start with is water. 2 different drinks you can make with water is honey water or ice water. To make honey water, combine honey and water, and to make ice water, combine ice and water. For this build, we will be making ice water. To learn more about SP or drinks, check out my Basics to Beverages guide. Now you should have your build, some food, and some drinks. Now what should you do? Now there are 3 things you can do. You can fight players, fight animals, or contest objectives. In order to win, you need to be the last person alive, so you have to fight at least 1 person. To find people, you can just wander until you run into someone, look at your minimap or pings, or contest objectives, which I will discuss later in this video. If you want to fight a player, head over to a ping. When you run into someone, you can see what items they have at the top left of your screen or by pressing tab. If you have activated F8 like I recommended you to, you'll also see a number above their head. This is their weapon mastery level. A general rule of thumb for this is the higher this number is, the more damage they will do. So ideally you want to fight someone either the same as your level, which is above your own head, or lower than you. To fight someone, you want to use a combination of your spells and auto attacks depending on how your character plays. Make sure you eat food if your HP is low. You can use the number that your food is on to use it. My food is always on the slot 1, so I know that if I'm getting low, I will press 1. If your SP is low, you want to drink one of your drinks. You can press the number your drinks are on to use it. My drinks are always on slot 2, so I know that if I have low SP, I can just press 2 to recover it. You should put your food and drinks on whatever button you feel comfortable with. The second thing you can do is PvE. PvE in this game is fighting animals. You'll generally be doing this unless you see pings on your map or run into someone. Animals spawn at fixed locations and at fixed times originally. Here are the locations where all animals respawn. When someone kills that animal, there's a fixed time before they come back. These numbers can be changed, but currently at the time of writing this video, chickens spawn 75 seconds after killing them, bats are 2 minutes after hits, and bears are 170 seconds, so just shy of 3 minutes. Many high-level players will time when wolves and bears will respawn because these animals can drop rare resources which can be used for transition items, which I'll discuss later, but for now keep in mind that all animals respawn eventually. Killing animals is an important part of the game because you'll gain weapon mastery, which will make you do more damage. The last thing you can do is contest objectives. Objectives are locations where you can get rare resources or mobs that spawn only once per game that drop rare resources. The first rare resources or last thing you can do is contest objectives. Objectives are locations where you can get rare resources or mobs that spawn only once per game that drop rare resources. The first rare resource I'll mention is Tree of Life. This objective spawns at the same location every game. It spawns in Hotel and Cemetery Night 1 and Forest and Hospital Night 2. They also spawn at the locations I just showed you. The next objective is Meteorites. These do not spawn at the same location each game, but once you know the locations, you'll know where it spawns. The game will let you know where these spawns 1 minute before they spawn. A pop-up on the left side of your screen will show you this, as well as pressing tab once the location is known. These are the locations that meteorites can spawn. Meteorites spawn every day in night cycle starting at night 1 and ending day 3. The next objective is the first rare mob of the game, and that is Alpha. Alpha will drop Mithril and spawn day 2. The game will not give you an announcement on where Alpha will spawn until 1 minute before it spawns, but you can know the location of where Alpha spawns before this by pressing tab. You can see this right at the beginning of the game. Since this is a mob, it can damage you, but is the weakest of these rare mobs. The next objective and second rare mob of the game is Omega. Omega will drop a Force Core and spawn day 3. The game will not give you an announcement on where Omega will spawn until 1 minute before it spawns, but you can know the location of where Omega spawns before this by pressing tab. Alpha needs to spawn before it will show you where Omega is, so you'll only know starting from day 2. Omega is decently strong, so do not treat this like Alpha. Many people have died because of Omega, so if you need to, you can reset it by running away from its attack radius and it will walk back towards its starting point. Alpha and Omega share the same spawn locations, but it will not spawn at the same location in one game. So if one spawns in Beach, the other cannot also spawn in Beach. Here are the locations Alpha and Omega can spawn. The last and most important objective in this game is Wickline. Wickline will drop a VF blood sample and a first aid kit. Wickline spawns night 3 at the entrance to the research center connected to Avenue. Wickline will either walk to Forest or Cemetery if Avenue is closed. If Forest is closed, it will walk towards Cemetery. If Cemetery is closed, it will walk towards Forest. If Avenue, Forest, and Cemetery are closed, it will go to a random zone. If one of the zones turn yellow, treat that zone as if it were red because Wickline will not go there.
A little bit.
Was that shitty draft or they just got wrecked?
I didn't watch enough to know, honestly. I need to check more.
Unlike the other objectives, Wickline also provides a buff known as VF buff. This will do true damage to your opponent whenever you hit them with a basic attack or spell for 3 seconds. Unlike the other objectives, Wickline also provides a buff known as VF buff. This will do true damage to your opponent whenever you hit them with a basic attack or spell for 3 seconds. You can reapply this buff onto your opponent until you lose this buff. The VF buff lasts for 5 minutes. I recommend that everyone goes to Avenue before night 3 so you are there before Wickline spawns if that zone is not about to close. In my opinion, Wickline is the most broken objective in the game, and even if you are behind, you can win the game if you get Wickline buff and items. Wickline does a lot of damage, so you'll probably need to eat some food while fighting her. If you are low, run away from Wickline as fast as you can so she will lose aggro on you. Some characters are better at taking these mob objectives or objectives in general. Other than Wickline, you might be wondering why you want to fight for these objectives. The items you get from these objectives can be turned into really strong items, which are known as transition items. Not all transition items are made from rare resources, but all rare resource items are transition items. These are items that you make after you have finished your main build. Now you may wonder why don't you make these items from the get-go. It's because you cannot guarantee that you'll get these items. Other players want these items and will fight you at the locations I mentioned. They'll have their main build, or maybe they already have some objective items such as Glacial Shoes, which is made from a Tree of Life, or Fallen Pegasus, which is made from a Meteorite. In order to win the game, you will want to switch off your main build into these stronger items. To learn more about transition items, I would recommend you check out my basics transition items video. It goes over general transition items except for weapons. To know specifically what your character wants, I would go to the Discord I have mentioned several times, discord.gg/testsubjects, or will turn Wikipedia, or in the these cameras show players, including players that are invisible, in an 8 meter radius, as well as traps, including players that are invisible and vision is. The basic cameras are known as surveillance cameras. These cameras show players, including players that are invisible, in an 8 meter radius, as well as traps. I'm not going to cover traps in this guide since they are not really used by most beginners, but I will have a video about traps in the near future from when this video is published. You can only place 3 at a time. If you place more than 3, the oldest one you have placed will be destroyed. Surveillance cameras will naturally last 60 seconds, but other players can destroy them. The upgraded surveillance cameras are known as telephoto cameras. You can make 2 for every one surveillance camera and binoculars. They do the exact same thing as surveillance cameras, except they have a larger radius of 11 meters. Again, you can only have 3 telephotos down at a time, and if you place a 4th one, the oldest one you place gets destroyed. You can place these cameras in bushes to see people or items in that bush. The other types of cameras are recon drones. Recon drones are surveillance cameras plus gunpowder and will show you a larger radius for a short period of time. These cameras cannot see traps or invisible players. You can cast these from further away than surveillance or telephoto cameras, and they cannot be destroyed, so you'll see that area for 7 seconds guaranteed. EMP drones are the same as recon drones, except they disable traps. You'll probably not see these in play since I assume you are a new player watching this, but I thought I'd let you know. Consoles will give you vision of particular areas in a zone. These are fixed and will not change. To activate a console, all you have to do is click on it and wait for 3 seconds. If someone activates your consoles after you do, you will lose vision. Console vision lasts for 3 minutes if no one touches it. These are the locations of consoles in each zone. And at last is masteries. In this game, your level is not the only thing that is important. I mentioned weapon mastery before, but there are several different masteries in this game. There is Hunt Mastery, which you get for killing animals, or the PvE in this game. This allows you to kill animals faster. There's Crafting Mastery. This makes your items more efficient. As an example, if you have 20% spell amplification from Commander's Armor, this can become 21% or even 22% spell amplification due to Craft Mastery. So crafting is extremely important. Next there is Search Mastery, which gives you increased vision range for each container you check. Move Mastery gives you more movement speed. Health Mastery gives you more out of combat HP and SP regen. Defense Mastery gives you more basic. And if you like Eternal Return as much as I do, consider subscribing. Since I assume you are a beginner, check out my beginners playlist. It has all the videos that I do specifically for new players. I just added one on loot distribution the other day, which I do not talk about here, but I recommend all new players to watch it. Also,
hey guys, it's been a while since my last video. But with Season 6 of Eternal Return just starting, and all these new skins and the new casual game mode that's coming out soon, I think there's going to be more players coming in, so I wanted to make like a sort of general guide for them, so that hopefully they learn something and enjoy their time with the game. So the first thing I want to mention is that you can try out any character that you want if you go to practice mode, which is in the bottom right, and then the first option. This way you can get a feeling for each of the characters.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to my Eternal Return guide. I'm Basan. and today we're going to be looking at choosing a main in Eternal Return. Choosing a main has become harder and harder over time with the growing cast of characters Eternal Return has to offer. So today we're going to be sorting the characters based on difficulty as well as their character archetype in order to find the right character for you. Now, a big concern I get in my Twitch streams is asking me if X character is currently valuable in the current meta. For this, I would like to say that the Eternal Return team has worked in the balance well enough to the point where every character in the game is currently viable. I would like to say I will talk about some of the supporting characters in the game further into the video, and these characters are not suited for the solos game mode. So if you like to play solos, you should avoid these characters. With that out of the way, we can get into the video. First and foremost, we have our mages. Our mages are characters that mainly deal damage through abilities and hitting them. Some of the characters in this tier are going to be a little bit harder in skill floor because it does require you to heal skill shots for the most part. So you're expect to see more mediums than easier characters. But if you're maybe more familiar with mages from other games, you should be fine to play these characters. I split the mages category into 3. So first and foremost, we have our burst mages. These are the characters that have maybe longer cooldown but have a really big burst of damage. They want to kill you in 1 to 1.5 rotations usually and chunk that HP bar really easily. A lot of people hate playing against those, but a lot of people like to see big damage numbers and play as them. This type of character might be for you if you enjoy that. In here, first and foremost, we have Shukai as a specialist. So Shukai has a niche gimmick where he can gain stacks by cooking food, but essentially he wants to go at the beginning of the game and start rushing cooking everything. So you want to be cooking a lot. It might make him a little bit harder for a beginner to play this character because you don't know the food recipes or what you should be doing. Mechanically speaking, this character is very easy to play. His specialty makes him quite harder. You'd require some good amount of knowledge to stack him up and get him going. Fooling with the next characters, we have a lot of people on the medium category. Most of them, they're just combo characters, so you need to learn their combos properly, and after that they're probably pretty easy, or their difficulty increases due to that. The next specialist that we have, it's Martina. Martina, similar to Shukai, has stacks, but this work in a different way. So Martina essentially wants to take pictures of different objectives and like dead people's bodies and stuff in order to stack up. Once she reaches 10 stacks, she then enters broadcast mode, which then she becomes a real character. Before that, she's kind of like a meme. She really does like no damage. You have to all run away, try to get your stack as much as you can. She's kind of like a really gimmicky character. And then once you get to the stacks, then you become really strong. By any means, this is not a bad character. This character is really good in the current state of the game. She's just a little weird because of the way she plays. But if you enjoy that kind of gimmicky playstyle, you can give her a shot. That is why she's a medium, and that's her specialty. Sylvie, on the other hand, she does not have the combo tag. She is a true medium character within the burst mages. She has a lot of flexibility within the combos she could do to burst an enemy down. She doesn't particularly have as long cooldowns as the other, mainly because she does have a refresh with her pistol skill. The biggest reason she's on this medium tier is because she is a shapeshifter. You do have to learn 2 sets of skills. You also have to manage her fuel. So if you like managing a different resource while you're fighting and have to spend that resource to use abilities, maybe this character could be for you. Next up, we have our 2 hard characters. First of all, we have Alex, considered one of the hardest characters in the game. His biggest gimmick is the fact that he can use 4 weapons and all of them can scale their mastery altogether. So he can wear 4 weapons, use 4 weapon skills, and swap between one another very quickly. That's going to require you a lot of knowledge when you're building, because the building guide doesn't help you build the other weapons, so you need to learn how to make all 4 weapons along your route. It can be pretty hard for a new player. Not only that, but then you also need to learn this combo using all the weapon skills and stuff, which can be pretty tricky for a new player. You require a lot of inputs. If you play on high ping, it could become pretty hard as well. He's kind of ping intensive. By the way, high ping, I would consider anything maybe like above 100 ping would be pretty hard. Definitely one of the hardest characters in the game. Next up, we have Adriana, which is not a combo character, but she requires a lot of skill shot accuracy. Unlike the other mages where if you land a skill shot, you either land it or you don't, and then you win. With Adriana, it's all about like pushing the enemy towards where you want them to be and then grounding them and keeping spacing and doing a lot of things. So your accuracy with your skill shots has to be really good, and you have to play around that in order to deal maximum damage and stuff like that. So she can be pretty complicated, even though that at a glance she doesn't seem as hard as she might be. Alright, that was her burst mages. Next up, we have our battle mages. This is our counterpart to burst mages. Essentially, these characters are the characters that have very low cooldowns, just mainly deal skill damage. A lot of them want to go through many rotations or multiple rotations by killing an enemy, but the rotations are way quicker. Here we have them. Most of these characters are in the medium tier just because of fact that, well, they're mages, and most of them, if not all of them, their entire kit is basically made of skill shots, so You're gonna need to land those skill shots if you want to do anything with them. Outside of that, if you played mages on a different MOBA, should be fine for the most part to learn these characters. Outside of that, we have Adina and Lean. So Adina has this thing where she has constellation, and you have to read your little icons on top of your bar, and then your abilities do different effects based on that. So you have to
All right, looks like a clear shot.
Three abilities which each do different effects based on which constellation you're using. 3 constellations, so 3 times 3, you have 9 different abilities essentially that do different things that you need to learn, and then you also need to, you can also swap one of them and have an enhanced effect with your ultimate. You just gotta learn a lot. It's a character that you definitely have to put a decent amount of hours into in order to get used to and play correctly. She's not like super complicated, like her skill shot accuracy is really not that bad, and you do get a lot of them because you do have low CD. It's just you need to know what abilities to use at one time. Then we have Celine. This character is definitely the hardest in the game. If we had an extra tier for hard, like hard plus, she would definitely be there, or just like Celine tier alone. Each one of these characters' abilities has like an SA for tech, and honestly, if you're a new player, I would definitely recommend you not picking up this character. So you have a lot of skill resets that you need in order to perform your combos. You also need to land almost every single one of your abilities. You have an ability that pushes you, your enemy, and your bombs put down all together. And you not only need one rotation of abilities, but you need multiple in order to do the thing. So yeah, I don't know. This character, I would avoid it personally. With that out of the way, we're gonna go into our truly mages, which we don't have quite a bit of. Here we have Aya and Eva. This specifically sniper variant of Aya. The other variant that I'm going to be mentioning in this guide is going to be AR, which is going to be in the marksman's category, which we're going to be looking at next. But first and foremost, Eva, who's a medium. Why is she a medium? Honestly, Eva, the reason she's a medium is that, well, her abilities are deceivingly easy to use. She requires a lot of spacing. In that point and click, enemies are going to know where they are. Your skill abilities, you should have not moving to our marksman. So our marksman class, I didn't split this class into multiple. Marksman class, these are your typical ADC characters in most MOBAs. They mainly deal damage through auto attack, but not that much ability damage. Usually their abilities are just there to assist them, and then their auto attacks do most of the damage. It's a lot of guaranteed damage, so a lot of them are in the easier spectrum, easier side of the spectrum compared to the other archetype. Starting off though, our specialist Nadine. What does this character do? Well, very simple. This character, every time they kill an animal, they get a stack, which gives them more damage and more range on their Q. So essentially, this is kind of like, if you play League, it's kind of like your Nasus, but instead it's like you clear all the animals and stuff. It's an easy character to pilot. You might want to start learning stuff like the respawn timers for animals and stuff like that. That way you make sure you're getting them. You do get more value out of animals higher tiers, like bears and wolves, rather than chicken. So you're gonna want to start learning how to do animal rotations, and that can make this character slightly more knowledge intensive. But outside of that, character, it's fine in my opinion to play. Outside of that, we have our medium characters, Rozzy and William. Mainly Rozzy kind of plays like Lucian from League. She has to do a lot of skill weaving and stuff, and pressing a lot of buttons. She also has a invulnerability frame that she has to use. You want to learn how to do that, and you're gonna...
You didn't go to sleep or what? Madrachot Bhenchot?
to learn your matchup quite well in order to play her. So she can become complicated. She just has a lot of buttons that you're gonna press and slowly learn over time how much you can limit test. Definitely a character time. It is a bit more combo reliant. The auto attack version, which is the reason why for both of them, she easily, instead of having that range advantage, they have things. And one, even though Hyunwoo isn't easy, let me talk a little bit about him. Hyunwoo is a character that could easily also, without their abilities, without their cooldowns up, just like first, they have the mobility advantage. They're really good at going in, getting a kill, going out, call it a day. That's what they do. Without their abilities, without their cooldowns up, just like first mages, if they have long cooldowns, and if without those, they are probably dead. So starting off, even though Hyunwoo isn't easy, let me talk a little bit about him. Hyunwoo is a character that could easily also be considered a brawler, or maybe a duelist. The reason he's here in Assassin is mainly because of his amp and crit version of Hyunwoo.
This is what my fists are for. All right, let's have some fun. Ah! This is what my fists are for.
Time for salvation. The time has come to guide these lost souls. The time for salvation has passed.
There is a weight tankier version that could be considered a brawler, so just putting that out there. Hyunwoo can essentially become whatever you build him. Specifically here, I'm going to be putting him in the assassin tier. Anywhere you put him though, even if it's in the brawler tier, he will be easy. Here's the kit is really straightforward, so with that out of the way. Mainly Daniel is just a medium because of his combo. Once you learn his particular combo with his W and his ult, he will go down pretty much so easy. Same with Kathy, she's probably more like a medium. You kind of have to get a little bit more careful with her spacing, and she does have one skill shot that you need to land. That's pretty important for her combo. Once you learn their combos and stuff, it becomes a lot easier. Shuichi though, this character is just hard. It's not just about a combo, you need to have a lot of terrain awareness in order to use your daggers. If you play Katarina from League, he's kind of like that, but you have to go through your daggers in order to do damage, not just pick them up, so it becomes a lot harder. You need to be really fast at doing your inputs. If you have high ping, the same way I said with Alex, if you have a high ping, this character becomes exponentially harder. And not only that, but I believe you require a lot more things to know with him. Additionally, unlike the other assassins, he has a lot of a harder time at getting away. So if you do fail to kill someone, you might just be dead. Or if you run into like a really bad matchup and you really don't have like any animals around you to dash away, then you might just die. So definitely a harder character. Really cool when he works out though. So definitely one that I would recommend to maybe getting into after you play the game some more. Moving on from assassins though, we're gonna be going at the duelists. So the duelists, these are gonna be your all-rounder characters. They kind of like skirmishing fights a bit more. They want to go in and out of fights rather than sticking there to a target and just killing them. So with that in mind, we're gonna go looking at the duelists who want a little bit of shorter fights compared to brawlers, but they're very similar at the core. And I split the duelists between two, just skill weaving honestly. The other also has characters. Do plan to do something related to that, but just let me know in the comments if you want to see that. And he has a lot of weapons, so it can be a little bit here. Next up we have Ekyon, who has a rage bar. Essentially he goes on rage and then he goes all crazy, and then he has a bit of a time where he's kind of weak before he can start building up and other characters in the game. So I still consider them brawlers, even if it's some basic combos that he likes to do, but he has a lot of flexibility with his combos, and a lot of the times your combos won't just kill your target, so you're gonna have to go beyond that and do something. And a lot of the times if you do fail your combo and the enemy breaks out of it version, it's a bit more, you have to learn your passive the way you and using that max range, and usually their ability to slide. With that said, play run vision in a corner and meet someone, because then your range is I would avoid it personally. With that out of the way, we're gonna go into our tier lead mages, which we don't have quite a bit of. Here we have Aya and Eva. This specifically sniper variant of Aya. The other variant that I'm going to be mentioning in this guide is going to be AR, which is going to be in the marksman's category, which we're going to be looking at next. But first and foremost, Eva, who's a medium. Why is she a medium? Honestly, Eva, the reason she's a medium is that, well, her abilities are deceivingly easy to use. She requires a lot of spacing. In general, this tier are totally mages. Now, even Aya, whose kit is pretty simple, you have point and click skill shots and a lot of range. The range is all they depend on it, so keeping spacing with the enemy is going to be really important and succeed with them, and making sure you have good vision control over your enemies. You want to know where they are, you want to make sure they're not getting too close. You don't want to turn around a corner and meet someone, because then you're going to be in a bad spot. Your skill shots are actually not that hard to land. You do have a resource with Eva, but honestly, as long as you're landing abilities, you should have resource, and that's about it, honestly. Yeah, artillery mages, well, their mechanics might not, or their micro management might not be super tough. You do gotta learn to play run vision, spacing away from your enemies, and using that max range advantage that these three mages provide. With that said, we're gonna be moving to our marksman. So our marksman class, I didn't split this class in starting off though, attacks do most of the damage. It's a lot of guarantee. Without their abilities, without their
You need a sharp pin to fix a butterfly to a wall.
salvation has passed. Please save my pitiful soul. There are those who use bows to curse others. May you allow this short break. Let him who is without sin cast the first stone. I cannot stay here, lest arrows be my punishment. I'll find a use for this. So much dust. I cannot stay here, lest arrows be my punishment. Impure! Impure! Save this misguided soul. You wouldn't understand. I will punish you for your crimes. I cannot stay here, lest arrows be my punishment. Go away! Protect those who have fallen. Sins will take hold. Don't judge me. Don't move. Never rise. It better not be empty. What was I trying to make? Protect those who have fallen. So much dust. Save this misguided soul. And run. This is my hardship. Sins will take hold. Aren't you aware of your sins? Sins will take hold! Don't move! This is my hardship. This is my hardship. protect those who have fallen. It's better not be empty. There's got to be something I can do with this. I'm sorry. This is my hardship. Don't move. It's better not be empty. Darkness surrounds me. Is this how I'm supposed to make this? I'll take anything. Where are the sinners hiding? It's like the power of God. Will I find redemption if I leave this place? I can't run! They wouldn't understand. What was I trying to make? I'll take anything. Are you bestowing the right to pass judgment upon me? It's better not be empty. Aren't you aware of your sins? Let him who is without sin cast the first stone. Both my freedom and my redemption are far beyond the horizon. Now I am the one to judge. There's no escape. Go away. My judgment. Don't move. Save this misguided soul. This will take hold. May you allow this short break. Both my freedom and my redemption are far beyond the horizon. So much dust. Aren't you aware of your sins? Save this misguided soul. So much dust. right, but boats will never come here. Thanks. I want to leave this place and never return. Thanks. I'll take anything. Have they all found redemption? I'll take anything. Thank you for gracing this upon me. I'll take anything. So this came from the heavens. Let him who is without sin cast the first stone. I'll take anything. I cannot die yet. I'll say grace before I eat. So much dust. It isn't holy water. Am I allowed to open it? It's better not be empty. I just want some rest. Thank you for gracing this upon me. What was made here? I'll take anything. Everything is for my survival. Oh no, not here. So much dust. Sinners will regret their transgressions. I am going to get lost when the sun sets. I'll take anything. I'll find a use for this. Am I allowed to open it? So much dust. Are you bestowing the right to pass judgment upon me? Now I am the one to judge. He is all-seeing, even if I hide among the trees. I want to leave this place and never return. If I had a normal family, would I have become such a sinner?
You guys are playing or what?
Where's Raihan? Raihan is not here.
Who's this realistic noob?
That's me.
I don't know, maybe he went to sleep or something.
So much dust.
Okay, I'm just practicing. You guys, if you want to play something else, let me know.
I mean, it's just two of us. If Nazmo was here, I'll be down. But I don't know. Also, Grim is.
Promised myself I'd never come back here.
He said somebody like
Sinners will
family took
regret
his
their
room or
transgressions.
some shit. So it's happening.
Nice one.
Bro, this looks like full-on weeb game, man. Look at your character, man. What the fuck?
You played this, dude. You forgot.
I played it like a few hours, I think. So I don't remember it. I remember it being this weeby, man. I believe this is the game. How much?
I almost forgot what grass smelled like.
I like how he says Warzone is for ladies. It's Warzone.
Sinners will regret their transgressions.
This game seems pretty good. Like, it's very.
I promised myself I'd never come back here.
Dude, it's just a PR, like, but like those. I don't remember how. Remember, we used to play a game. 3v3, like with the heroes, like you use spells
Will I
and shit.
find
I don't remember what it's
redemption if
called.
I leave this place?
Bloodline champion.
Yeah, that one. Like the fighting is like that. Like there's a Bloodseeker hero in Bloodline Champions, remember? Like he looks like Bloodseeker. Shoots fire and shit.
Down to town.
Nice, what a noob. This guy was full charging, you went behind him and he's still charging, huh?
Dude.
Is it a bot or what?
Yeah, it's practice mode, dude.
Oh, no wonder.
Will I find
You want me to call
redemption
Raihan? I can
if I
call him.
leave this place?
See if he's sleeping or not.
Man, if he's sleeping, he's sleeping. Let's see.
I despise the smell of metal. It better not be empty.
Yeah, where are you?
Outside, what?
When you coming home?
Like half an hour maybe, what?
Abud said he wants to play Eternal Return. That game with you. He's practicing now.
Tell him to... Yeah, I'm going to eat, but I'll be back. Tell him to just fucking practice with Chiara.
So Karen is saying 1 hour. Why are you saying half an hour? Okay, then 1 hour.
He's not realistic.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Okay.
want to leave this place and never return.
1 hour if you're gonna stay
I
awake.
cannot die yet. I will walk on any path that you lead me.
I don't know if you're gonna find games though, right? Like that's one problem. Like these games are like relatively like unknown and shit. Few times, like that's the thing about Warzone and all these games. You click the Q button, you will find a game with 100.
There's no escape. Go away. I cannot die yet. Impure! Have mercy.
Are you gonna buy Hogwarts Legacy or are you gonna pirate it as you wait?
I buy shit, bro. What did I say?
I'll take anything. I don't want to die.
So if
yet.
it's yeah, it should be out in a week, right? Because it's saying 10th. But like if you have it pre-ordered, then you get it 72 hours, which is what 24, 48, 3 days. 1, 2, 3, 7.
sins
That's
cannot
next
be
week, next Tuesday. I think it'll do very well because there is no other game lined up. You know, like last year had Elden Ring and God of War. But this year there's no games. It's gonna be one Hogwarts Legacy.
Can't run. Sins will take hold. Have mercy. Don't go. I belong in the dark abyss. My sins cannot be cleansed with pure water.
Oh, are you gonna play
Vestiges of
Diablo
corruption
4?
and greed.
It's gonna be your favorite game, dude.
Don't judge
You're gonna
me.
meet your standards. This is Rehan's kind of game. Baldur's Gate 3.
I'll take
Some
anything.
fucking numbers game.
May you allow this short break. There's no escape. Have mercy. I won't atone. How could a street full of life become deserted? This is my hardship. There's no escape. Go away! Protect those who have fallen. My judgment. I didn't understand. There's no escape. Sin takes hold. This is my hardship. You wouldn't understand. I cannot stay here. Sorry, Mrs. Shivers. Can't run. Mrs. Shivers. There are those who use bows to curse others. Can't run! Sin will take hold! Go away! Have mercy! Impure! There's no escape! Go away! Have mercy. You wouldn't understand. I cannot stay here, lest arrows be my punishment. My judgment! Mrs. Shivers.
Oh, there's two games, two Soul Sekiro-like games next year. One is Wukong, the other one is Wolong. Which one would be the better one? Wukong or Wolong? Oh, I just want to play Dark Souls 3 on Steam. This game will never ever go on fucking sale. That's crazy to me. Like, it's like fucking 7-year-old game or some shit. $66. Maybe the price went down because it wasn't $66. I mean, it's still high though.